Imagine a vibrant discussion between people that includes both openness and critical thought in the pursuit of truth. The Purchasing Truth podcast is an experience, a journey, an exploration of the impact that negative messages in politics and the media have on our families, community, society, and nation. Join your hosts, Bill Stierle and Tom Hazard, to discover new concepts and language strategies that will reveal effective ways of establishing truth. This podcast series will tackle current events, leadership challenges, healthcare confusion, integrity in business, and many other areas that affect us all. Gain clarity and understanding of the various truth perspectives. Welcome to Purchasing Truth.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Purchasing Truth. I'm Tom Hazard, along with your host, Bill Stierle. And Bill, I got to tell you, at this point in time we're recording this, I am feeling somewhat lost, and I am feeling really shocked and disheartened all at the same time. So many things have happened that, from at least my perspective, are just unbelievable. I never thought we would be here.
Yeah, it's the feeling of shocked and surprised and lost, confused, overwhelmed. You know, what do you do next? How do you best respond? What do you say next? You know, when, the vote comes in the way it does and you're on one side and you're celebrating on the other side, and you're shaking your head going like, how could a person vote against this? And this brings up our topic today. I mean, how do you do truth when there's so much of a threat of physical safety, emotional safety, protection, loyalty to the vote, loyalty to the party? They're stuck. Those senators need a lot of empathy because they're in a very tough bind. Now, from the place of right or wrong, right is not winning right now from the perspective of the vote for protection, emotional safety, loyalty, identity. Those values caused those senators to vote the way they did. Now, there's other values that are under the bus. Integrity, truth is under the bus, because there wasn't as much gray area as there was in the Mueller report. There was some gray area in the Mueller report, so it was a little hard to press it, and people are having a hard time understanding what the difference between something that was criminal and something that was, ethical. High crimes, misdemeanors are not criminal. People don't know that the system is run by two levels of justice. The criminal thing is, hey, it's very clear that you stole this thing. And we have a law for that. If you steal a candy bar for somebody. Now, if you steal money from somebody and it's on a machine, is it really a crime? Because it's not really a thing. And that's the Wall Street bailout. No one could see that it was really stealing people's homes from them. They couldn't see it. This is a strategy to put somebody underwater to steal their home. They didn't see it that way because it was paper. But a candy bar, that's a crime from a 7-Eleven. So regrettably, Tom, truth is struggles here because people in America don't know exactly what they've signed up for when they signed up for the Constitution fully. They kind of more understand the criminal system, that bad people should be locked up, because there's a lot of religious writing about this kind of stuff, that bad people get punished. You know, instead of leaving. But it's really hard for us to really kind of face the decision, because they had to stay in line.
This is the shocking part, Bill, is that you have someone who is clearly staying within integrity for their personal beliefs and what they truly believe is correct by the Constitution. And this is in Mitt Romney, who says, hey, I cannot vote to acquit this president because basically he's saying my loyalty to God is above my loyalty to the president or to party.
He did.
And so he said, in order to be a whole person, to do the right thing, I have to vote to convict the president. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, right? This isn't
Right.
what he said verbatim.
Yep.
And he has been demonized by his party. There are calls for him to be ousted, expelled from the party. I'm just like, what kind of, high school clique is this? If high school.
Right. I was just gonna say, it's a middle school. It's an 8th grade clique. That's an 8th grade thing. This is what 8th graders do. And it's really difficult, because I've spent time talking about not labeling people. It's hard to not label. This is the mindset, but really labels provide us a little bit of a guardrail to get some understanding about, to get understanding. It doesn't help us with the solution, because calling an adult person an 8th grader will not work. So what we want to do is use our adult brain. And our adult brain goes, they need compassion for how difficult it is. Because I've raised 2 8th graders, and I currently have a 7th grader on board. And you got to bring a lot of compassion and understanding for where they're coming from, because they don't have the language to get there. They don't have the strategy to get there. They don't have the adult mind to tolerate things. And as a nation, we're also struggling with that same thing. When our educational system becomes too difficult to get through because of cost, or not applicable because the jobs are not there, just go to get a college degree and no. I just hired an administrative assistant with a bachelor's degree. That's nuts. That she went through 4 years of college, and she's working because that's the job that's available.
I remember, I think, hiring one of my first administrative assistants in business in the late 90s, hiring somebody that went to what was the equivalent of a trade school to learn how the skills to be able to provide administrative support. But it wasn't a 4-year college degree. It was, I don't even know what they called it, but it was a school, just like a 1 or 2 year school.
Yeah. Paying attention to, as a nation, where the jobs are, and putting people in alignment with those jobs really helps self-worth and get people in alignment with where they need to be. Otherwise, what happens is you're just kind of leaving a broken system in place and not doing anything to fix it. So we're not. And there's not the will to do it, because there's not the money to do it. It's not in the best interest of the people. It's in the best interest of a few people. So.
Well, my goodness, what's in the best interest of all these senators that are staying in line with Trump? I mean, are they afraid of Trump? Probably. Are they afraid of Trump loyal voters? And they're leaving all of their integrity I guess the casualty is, truth and integrity among other things.
Same answer. What do you do with an eighth grader? What do you do with an eighth grader that is rebelling? What do you do with an eighth grader when they're rebelling and they're tanking their grades? They're in their bedroom. They're throwing all their stuff around their bedroom. They're breaking stuff. They're angry because they can't get their way. What do you do with an eighth grader?
Well, I mean, I sort of get to consequences and discipline or something. I don't know. What would you do?
Right. It's compassion for the amount of pain that they have with being stuck in the condition they're in. They're not old enough. They don't have enough vocabulary. They don't have enough skill to run their own life, but they want to. It's clear my 7-year-old wants to drive a car right now. I want to drive a car, Dad. I'm not 7-year-old, seventh grader, 13-year-old. It's like he's got a couple years, but I want to drive a car. Now, some kids now are too scared to drive a car.
Yeah.
Why? They've been sitting on the computer. They've been, not in the world as much. They see these machines as tough to deal with, and they can take an Uber. They can ride share. They can do this. They avoid it. What need is that? Protection, emotional safety, ahead of freedom.
I was going to say
ahead of transportation, ahead of independence. That's problematic when a young person is in a black and white thinking very early about the danger about something. Or one kid said, it costs too much. The car costs too much. I don't have to pay for it. See, there's not even the possibility of being able to pay for the insurance or pay for the car. I need money for these other things. I'd rather buy things. I'd rather upgrade my computer than to drive.
Well, and I think admittedly, it's a little different learning to drive today, maybe than when we were kids and learned to drive, where maybe you didn't need insurance, and you could, and even my stepfather talks about this all the time, where he used to buy like a $50 car or $100 car, and it was a heap, but drive it for a while and then it fails, get another car. There wasn't the need for insurance and all this. But anyway, we're in a different place today in 2020.
And the same thing in our politics. We're in a different place. There's too much danger to vote against the identity of one party. There's too much danger to vote against it, and it's just dangerous. I mean, look at why are Republicans not just going, hey, he voted the way he voted, but I voted the way I voted. Now, Lamar Alexander's excuse finally came out. Well, I voted for this because it wasn't enough. And what do you want? Do you want Bernie Sanders in here? That came out of Lamar Alexander's mouth.
That this is the lesser of evils type of thing.
Yes, I don't want Bernie Sanders in here. I don't want that mindset in here. I don't think that's the direction of our country. And as soon as it leaked out of his mouth, I'm going like, oh, so you're voting because your identity is that this current system of capitalism, the way it's constructed, is better than some of the principles those progressives are interested in. And you don't want them in, so you'd rather vote against that, even though you said it was wrong in the very next sentence.
Well, so that's really scary, Bill, that what he's really said there is that this version of capitalism that I benefit from and that I identify with is more important than the Constitution of the United States, because that's really where that takes us. Yeah. Truth, justice, fairness, right or wrong. I mean, that's very strange. I mean, senators by and large are lawyers, black and white thinkers. They're not thinking black and white in terms of the Constitution or the law. They're thinking black and white in terms of party loyalty.
Right. That's the big shift that's taken place, and that's why it's so empty and so confusing and so lonely to get out of this position, because you got to have empathy for Lamar Alexander, and here it comes, and his mindset. His mindset is a progressive agenda where government does more is not a capitalist agenda where private industry does more. Private industry is more important to me than these public systems. Medicare for all, I want what is happening in the drug companies to stay, and the hospitals to stay where it's at. I don't want that to have a complete rework and the profit come out of it, because if you take the profit out of it, there's some problems with that. And he's partially right. If you take the profit out of it, there's some partials. But the thing that he's not getting on the other side is there's ways to incentivize the capitalist part of medicine and still cover everybody. There's still ways to do that, but he doesn't have the creative mind to do it. And most certainly he doesn't have the fortitude to stand up to it. There's ways to do it, but they're not interested in the way to do it. They're interested in the stability and what the voter can grasp or understand. And then what is the propagandized or the repeated message that I can promote to keep the thing in place, and hang on to a kind of a fragile system. How fragile is it? Look at 2008. They had to make stuff up and print a whole crap load of money in order to prop up things just enough. They didn't do it. They didn't really fix it. They just pushed it down the road.
Yeah, it was triage. They put a tourniquet on it to keep it from completely bleeding out, but they still got a really lame system.
Yeah,
lame being injured.
Yeah, and the people that did it, and the people that set it up got paid the most. That's the weirdest part about it, is no one went to jail on it. So all the banks got all their payouts and blah blah blah. They didn't. There was no consequence for running a business that way. So,
yeah.
And as one mortgage broker told me, it says, Bill, they incentivize us to do this. What do you mean they incentivize to do this? Well, they just kept saying we had to do it to keep writing these mortgages. I go, oh, so you got incentivized to do it too. Yep. The government actually incentivized us to do it. How did that come about? Well, the votes were there to open up to not regulate it. Oh, they were? I would have never done that. So very, very troublesome. So we want to have empathy for the people that are in the place, because they're doing the best they can, but they're not adult-like. It's more childlike. And again, I just did a label between adult and child, and I'm going to just separate that as adult thinking is much more black and white. This is wrong because I think it's wrong. Adult is, well, there's a gradation of wrong and right, and sometimes a person is going to pick a need for peace and harmony over the need for fairness. I'm going to pick, I want this to go this way. This other person says, I want it to go this way. Why is that? Why do they want it to go that way? Because, they would like They would like it their way. And all of a sudden the person says, well, I'm just going to take peace and harmony. I'm going to go your way because it's too noisy if I went my way. And I really want it my way, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know.
Well, so Bill, if I hear you that we need to in a different, I guess, kind of a operating world, give compassion to these people and how they're thinking to try to get
Yeah.
them to see things differently. You mentioned Lamar Alexander. I get that works, but it would have to happen on such a large scale in order to make a difference. It does seem like
Small moments. All you can do
yeah,
is small moments, Tom. All you can do is you're human beings can only manage a moment at a time, anyways. So small messages, small moments of what adult thinking looks like, more adult thinkers having adult language. If I was coaching Elizabeth Warren, she would be up 10 points in the polls because she's not using adult language. She's using adversarial language. Wrong, right, good, bad. You can't beat a bully in a spitting match between who's wrong or who's right. You can't go, yeah, but to a bully because they'll just, yeah, but you back. Yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but. That language is ineffective. It's ineffective thinking. And even Joe Biden is struggling right now because he's going like, yeah, but, and there's not enough credibility, momentum, and support, and his languaging skills are not strong enough. It's not, Joe, it's not, the advice to him is it's not kiss the baby on the forehead anymore like it was when you first got started and be a nice guy and talk nice to people. It's not that anymore. You've actually got to upgrade your compassion and empathy with stronger language. Now, people don't think empathy is strong language, but it is. It's so strong because what you're doing is you're actually having power with the person that's upset. So,
but at some point, is all of this one-sidedness, ignoring the facts, party loyalty over truth, party loyalty over the Constitution, at some point, is this going to build to such a point that regardless of the small messages missing, these things changing, is it going to get to the point where, like, let's take earlier where you were talking about your son who wants to drive a car, or an eighth grader who is having a tantrum and is unhappy they don't have freedom, they don't like the rules being put upon them, and I said, well, I would probably go toward consequences and discipline, which was definitely not compassion and
it's
empathy,
not the
right?
strongest thing because they'll just act out in another way.
I
They'll let you pay for it another way.
Well, I get that. So but don't you think that at some point, if the Republican Party doesn't start lining up with truth at some point, with integrity, with the Constitution, there are going to be harsh consequences that are going to be forced upon them. It's interesting. I saw a post on Facebook, and several people have posted it, how um, that Americans are being called for jury duty right now, and it is to rule on Trump's impeachment where the Senate didn't do it. They passed the buck, and that your call for jury duty is what, November 3rd, 2020 or something like that, to
That's
go
right. That's
vote
right.
him out. So is that the consequence, that at some point, you know,
Terrifying.
you're going to get thrown out of office, and I hope you're happy with your choices, that because you're going to have to live with the consequences.
Terrifying. It's terrifying. It's the same thing the same thing that the United Kingdom did with Brexit. They turned it over to the people. Stupid move. Stupid. Why is it stupid? Because it's a complex issue. It is something that the population cannot handle. Why? Because the population are 8th graders and below. Even though they're adults, they can't handle it. They can't handle the nuances of trade between the European Union. They can't handle the nuances of what you're paying for and what you're not. It's a very 8th grade mindset about what's fair and not fair. You know, how old's your young one again? You got a couple young ones, right?
Almost 6 rather, and then the other one's almost 11. So
you got a 6 and a 11-year-old. Do you want them deciding on what fairness is?
no.
Great. So let's look at let's make this tough. Let's make this tough. The complexity of abortion. Let's look at that one. That is a tough thing. In fact, people vehemently hate Trump, but they hate abortion more. And they'll vote for Trump because he's doing things to get that agenda moving forward. That's what he's doing. People have beliefs about Israel and through Christianity and what their beliefs are about the Bible. Therefore, they're going to pick Trump because their beliefs on spirituality, the way they're doing it, are not looking at a complex system of human beings living in another country and us having influence over that because their spiritual beliefs are there. You know, what's fairness? To your daughters, they would be more like, you know, a rich person. Watch how this is going to work. You're going to start cracking up. Ready?
Yeah.
If they have $1 and you tell them, okay, we need to pay for taxes. Okay, here's the change for the $1. Okay, you get to keep 80%. I'm just rounding it off and I say, give me 2 dimes back. Great. Yeah, give her $100. Okay, here's $100. Give me 20. 20? I'm not giving you 20. But it's the same percentage. So fairness for rich people is different than fairness for somebody that's because their perspective, the perspective is like, try if you have $1 million, giving $200,000 in taxes. The poor person's going to be outraged. You shouldn't have to pay all that money. But it's okay for the person that doesn't have money to pay 35 cents out of their dollar, and the rich person get to pay only $10,000 out of that $1 million. What is going on there? And it's a cognitive dissonance. And do I want a 13-year-old, an 11-year-old, a 5-year-old in charge of how that works? And the answer is, that's what we have. Because they don't have an adult mindset about fairness and equanimity and equality. And how can we afford to make the nation better? We need a jobs program like we've always needed a jobs program. We need an education program that's in alignment with new jobs that are coming up that we're not even close to it. We need the gap between the education of people and the jobs that are available or the future-oriented jobs, we're getting creamed worldwide. And guess what? The companies are just going, screw it, we'll just do it over there. We're going to pay less over there anyways. So we're paying less. We're going to go it over there. Screw, forget America. No. Where our job is to our shareholders and to our margin, because, actually it's legally that we have to grow quarter over quarter, that's really a part of it. We got to do that, to give dividends to our shareholders. so this is the complexity of adult thinking that's not available because the one party specifically, but both parties are struggling with how to get engagement, and one's being more inclusive than the other party is, and causing the fight to take place. In various different beliefs regarding social services, and social services is to stabilize the country, to stabilize people.
You
social services
can't continue to help the 1% advance, even if it was the 10% advance, at the expense of the 90% or the 98%. It just is not sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
And it seems like what's shocking is the Republican Party, at least those in power, are throwing their own purported values under the bus. Are they not?
They are. And
I mean, the balanced budget, remember all that? The balanced budget, what are we going to do about that? And then the latest budget proposal is close to $4 trillion, I think. And in order to, the president's wish list, in order to make it not any bigger, is to cut Medicare and what was the other thing?
Services. Yes.
Social services, because hey, we don't want to help the little people out at all. We just want to prop up the military. And
it's just so our house doesn't burn down, just so our house is not invaded by police. See, they'd rather hire their own private police force than to pay a social police force to take care of the good of the population. But I mean, it's so short-sighted because, you do that enough and there's not enough police to, support. Then what happens is that it's like, well, you have all the money over there. We're gonna take your house and your life and they don't get that it's like, that it's not the healthiest way to run a civil society. Just is not the healthiest way to do it. So here's the electable values. We could get a good sticking point. The electable values that the Republicans will stay tight to, which is abortion, fairness from the mindset of rich person, because that's it. Social services are handouts because these people don't deserve it. Strong military, safety. So they're going to find a war or a narrative that is dangerous that they can run with. Immigration. These foreigners are going to come into our country and take our stuff. They're going to take our stuff. They're going to take our system. So those are all on the Republican electable playlist right now. Those are the ones that are they're going to yes, and because 9/11 is so long ago now,
right, yeah,
because so long ago, it's hard to scare people about 9/11 now because there's been so many people that have been born that don't remember that.
Right.
So you got to scare somebody again. So they need another catastrophic event to scare people again, so they can keep feeding the military industrial system. So we can watch in the next 5 to 10 years that there's going to be a scary event, either manufactured or, the world's volatility will start to go up so they can pay people. Right. So, and there's going to be the opposite. The Republicans are going to stay after the opposite identities. We are not socialist. We are not communist. We are not Democrats. We are not crazy liberals. There are crazy liberals, but they're on the margin. The more they could take our margin and bring it towards the center, and the less the liberals bring their crazies to center, because their crazies have moved to the center. I mean, Bolton is the war hawk that was in there, but he was in there, but you could see where his integrity lied. His integrity was, guess what? I'm not coming in because the Democrats will take advantage of this. Notice that his loyalty wasn't an adult loyalty either. It was an 8th grade loyalty. It's, I'm staying with the cool kids. I'm not going with the other kids that are being inclusive. I'm not doing that. Even if it's wrong, I'm not coming in. I mean, and these guys, they'll keep recycling Alan Dershowitz, Karl Rove. Oh my God. So we're seeing Karl Rove in front of us again. It's like, really? That guy? And they're, those guys, and there's the ones that they think that are coming up are going like, I don't know if I want to be, I don't think I want to be that guy. Rudy Giuliani, we got to see that guy. They're just staying inside the narrative, and they've got their own limited mindset. So under the bus for the Republicans are balanced budgets, integrity. They can't play family values. They can't do compassionate conservatism because they're not that. They're not using law is equal to all. They're only the law is applied to others, not us.
Right.
Okay. And then, of course, truth over party over truth. Picking the party line over the truth. So this is the kind of the playbook that to summarize it. I mean, anybody that's listening, whether it's Buttigieg or Sanders or some of their people, or Tom Steyer could get ahead of this and run and get points. Bloomberg could get the points that he needs. Bloomberg's taking all of Biden's votes now. So once he's in, Biden, because he's the centrist, he's the rational guy that, and he's got enough to look at that. And it's a little weird that it's not weird, but it's the angle that Trump says he's short. That small is short. He wanted a stand to stand on, and notice how that's an 8th grade mindset. It's what an 8th grader does to bully.
Right.
Is pick on appearance, not the content of their character.
Right.
Not the accomplishments. So marketing and branding can get into that space where you start beating up your competitor in a very middle school kind of way. And that's what he's doing. He's going to beat, people by label and diagnosing people. And do we want that style of leadership anymore?
Yeah, well, hopefully not. I don't know. It's interesting. I like how I think we're actually going to perhaps see some wisdom in Michael Bloomberg's campaign strategy of not wasting time in Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, and jumping in at Super Tuesday because, well, first of all, he got a little lucky because Iowa was a disaster. And regardless of who actually won or didn't win, what's clear is the vote is very much split early on in that state. New Hampshire may very much be the same thing with no clear runaway winner. You've got 2 or 3 of them splitting the majority of the vote. Yeah. They're not going to have a lot of strength and momentum, any one candidate running into Super Tuesday. And then Michael Bloomberg comes in and that completely changes the race. And maybe we end up having a brokered convention. I think people get worried about if we don't go into the Democratic National Convention with a clear winner already, that's going to be chaos. But that's the way it always used to be. You'd had multiple candidates come into the convention and there is, a vote that takes place there and you pick one there and that may be what happens again, and that may not be a bad thing.
I mean, even when Hillary and Barack came in to their convention, and Barack got the final nod, Hillary had to say, it's not my time.
Yeah.
And it's not my time. Maybe in 8 years it'll be my time, but it's not my time. And you know what? She came around and she, did Senate for a while, did the, Secretary of State for a while.
Yeah.
She did things. So, yeah, very, very valuable. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
It
All right.
is.
So we have a lot more things. The thing that's interesting, I think we could go over next time is, now that we've done kind of the Republican side and having some empathy for the things that they're picking. See, if you know what they're picking, even though you might not agree with it, abortion. Who wants to agree to abortion? Nobody wants to agree to that thing. It's
Right.
really, it's tough, a difficulty. But at the same time, do we really want to, as a government, take choices, medical choices away from our population? And for the people on the religious side of the fence, they go, yeah, it's moralistically not right to do that thing. And who wants to talk against life? Because we all had to go through that to have life. So the candidate that is most compassionate to the plight of abortion will gain 5 to 10 points. You got to be compassionate to the plight, to the difficulty of the decision, and really let that sink about how much you as a candidate value life, and how much you value life, and how much you also value choice. And that person has got to struggle between life and choice. They've got to struggle with it. I'm not going to say my view is over your view, because when we start doing that, that doesn't go as well, because people, just like eighth graders, will act out. And then we have this entire underground, which we used to have, an entire underground system that's away from the medical community, these back alley abortions and the worst case scenarios that to put, a traumatized woman, a woman in a traumatized to do that. They're already stigmatized, already have got to drive to another state to have an abortion. There's some states that have one clinic you can't get to.
Right. And, those states and the people in control of the state legislatures are intentionally trying to make it difficult for people to get abortions so that they won't have them. And then, of course,
But
they don't want
not
to pay for the social programs that are going to help care for that mother and child when
no,
the
they don't want
child
to pay for those.
comes.
It's like you had the child, you got to be able to pay for it. Yeah, the economy doesn't allow me to pay for it. How about that? You give me a living wage, I'll have the child. Why? Because I'm stable. See, you know what the weird part about this is? Here's the weird part about this is the Republicans are so worried about not having the votes, that immigrants coming in that are going to be more this, and that there's not enough people in our belief structure. Now watch how weird this is. If you had a living wage, more conservatives would have more children.
Yes.
See, they are not even clear that we are animals, that if you create a stable environment for an animal, they will reproduce. And do you want more of your voters? Have their environment be stable. Then you could sell conservative values all day. Family values. Here's what we do. You get to have a picnic on Sunday. There's nobody having a picnic on Sunday anymore. I'm just ranting right now. Just the fact that, why? Because they're busy working 2 jobs and they're worrying about what's going to happen Monday, and they're just trying to get through the weekend, and they're plopping in front of the TV. Ain't getting out of, they're not doing, because they got to worry about the next thing. Very, very difficult. A collaborative, stable society. That's the thing that stabilizes population growth too. But no one's asking me quite yet about how to fix this thing. So fix it, yeah. I mean, come on. We have empathy about how people get scared and they want to have a strong military. Now, do we need to have more money being spent in that direction? More than the top, 17 countries or whatever it is now? We're spending more of our GDP on that because we keep scaring our people.
Oh, my goodness.
Why do we scare them? So they'll watch more TV. If it bleeds, it leads. I need their attention to sell ad revenue.
Well,
that's where the money comes from.
And of course, the Republicans want them to watch Fox News. Interestingly, did you see that? Did you see there's a whole new? Did you see there's a whole new TV network that was started that is really it's like really a counter to Fox News and the mainstream media that is run by and for the African American market?
No.
Yeah, I just saw this in the last 24 to 48 hours. I don't know the name of it. I'll have to look it up, and I'll share it next time. But it's like interesting thought that you can't get enough attention for your I don't know if you want to call it your people, your voting block, your
population.
Your population through mainstream media and Fox. So, you're going to start your own. I mean, I think Fox News has shown, hey, this is working. So why not?
It is. It's going to. There's going to be a diversity thing, but the thing that purchases truth back to us, Tom, even in all those different media outlets, is that what need is the person talking about, and is it really a truthful way that they're talking about integrity? See, loyalty for the small is never as powerful as loyalty for the big. If I do loyalty for Fox News, and I'm not doing loyalty for America, there'll be a moment, and there has been, by the way, that Fox has stepped over the line and they've got to quick backtrack because they just promoted violence too much. The Gabby Gifford thing is a great example. There was violence. We got to take these people out. Violence. They kept doing violence, and then one of the congressmen got shot because they were motivated by it.
Yeah.
I mean, even some of the gunmen right now are. I just watched Fox News, and they said that there's problems in El Paso, so I'm going to drive down there and do that.
Right.
I mean, that's that is when the propagation has moved across the line. See that it's weird. They got to keep it at the sweet spot to scare them enough, but not enough to get them to act on how scared they are. So that's really very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big stuff. Anyway, so Tom, the next time what we'll do is we're going to do the same list for Democrats. This electable values, the values that they put under the bus, the fringe messages, how fighting, the way they're fighting between the candidates doesn't work. What is a good way to separate yourself from a candidate? Let's pick that up next time for the Democrats, because we kind of know that the Republicans have placed their bet on Trump. He's an incumbent president. Chances of being a one-termer is very low, because we just acquitted him. But this is a big difference. Okay,
sounds good. I like looking at the other side. Let's do that.
All right, Tom, have a good one.
You too.
Thank you for listening to this Purchasing Truth podcast. We trust that you have enjoyed this engaging and thought-provoking conversation. Our hope is that you've received value, found clarity, and broadened your truth perspective in this episode. If you did, leave us a review or visit our website, purchasingtruth.com. Join us again for another informative and content-rich discussion here at the Purchasing Truth podcast. Don't just accept whatever information comes your way. Join the discussion. Discover your own voice. Purchase your own truth.